The first anomaly appeared on radar screens at 3:47 hours, 37,000 feet above the Arabian Sea. Controllers at Karachi Air Base watched a single blip moving southwest at 300 knots, too fast for commercial traffic, too slow for military interceptors, and broadcasting no identification codes whatsoever. The aircraft had materialized from nowhere, appearing between radar sweeps like a ghost materializing from the digital ether. Squadron leader Hakeem Nazir gripped his coffee cup tighter as he studied the green phosphorescent trace. 23 years of air traffic control had taught him to recognize every pattern in Pakistani airspace, from the predictable commercial lanes to the classified military corridors. This contact followed none of them. The mystery aircraft maintained perfect altitude and heading, as if guided by an autopilot programmed by someone who understood these skis intimately. "Sir, we're getting interference on emergency frequencies," reported Airman First Class Farouk, his voice tight with confusion. "Something's broadcasting on 121.5, but it's not distress traffic. Sounds like singing." The haunting melody drifted through the control room speakers, a woman's voice humming an old folk tune, transmitted from the Phantom aircraft. The song was barely audible beneath layers of static, yet every controller recognized it. Their grandmothers had sung the same lullaby decades ago, before the wars changed everything. The voice carried weight, experience, and something else that made seasoned military personnel shift uncomfortably in their chairs. Two JF-17 Thunderjets scrambled from Jacobabad Air Base, their Klimov engines screaming across the pre-dawn darkness. Flight leader Captain Imran Malik had intercepted dozens of unauthorized aircraft during his career, but nothing prepared him for what awaited at altitude. The target wasn't running, it was waiting. At 35,000 feet, Malik achieved visual contact. The aircraft below him defied immediate classification. Its silhouette suggested American design, possibly a modified F-16 or FA-18, but the canopy configuration was wrong. The paint scheme was even stranger, matte gray with faded markings that seemed deliberately obscured. No national insignia were visible, only ghost outlines where symbols had been carefully removed. "Tower, Falcon leader has visual on unknown aircraft," Malik transmitted, his wingman moving into flanking position. "Requesting weapons authorization." The response crackled through encrypted channels. "Negative weapons release. Attempt radio contact first." Malik switched to guard frequency. "Unknown aircraft, you are in violation of Pakistani airspace. Identify yourself immediately or you will be escorted down." Silence stretched across the radio waves, broken only by that ethereal humming. Then, cutting through the static like a blade through silk, came a voice that shouldn't exist, a callsign that had been erased from every official record, scrubbed from databases, and forbidden from military communications. The woman's voice was steady, professional, tinged with an accent that belonged to no single nation. When she spoke, her words carried the weight of classified operations and buried histories. Captain Malik's blood ran cold as the impossible callsign reached his ears, a designation that marked her as either dead or never born. In the pre-dawn darkness above the Arabian Sea, two worlds were about to collide. The ghost aircraft banked left with fluid precision, revealing modified wing pylons and sensor arrays that no intelligence report had ever documented. Captain Malik found himself pursuing a Phantom that flew with the skill of someone who had mapped these skis before GPS existed, someone who knew every radar shadow and communication dead zone from memory. His instruments registered the impossible. This wasn't just any rogue pilot. This was someone the military had tried very hard to forget. Squadron leader Nazir watched his radar screen with growing unease as the two JF-17s closed distance on their target. The mystery aircraft's flight characteristics suggested modifications beyond anything in Pakistani service records. Its radar cross-section fluctuated strangely, sometimes appearing massive on sensors, other times nearly invisible. The pilot was playing games with physics, exploiting atmospheric conditions and electronic warfare techniques that required intimate knowledge of both aircraft capabilities and regional geography. "Falcon leader, what's your status?" Nazir's voice carried the tension building in the control room. Captain Malik's reply came through layers of radio interference that seemed to intensify whenever the unknown aircraft maneuvered. "Target is non-cooperative. Pilot appears highly skilled. Aircraft configuration unknown. Requesting backup and positive identification on that call sign." The pause that followed stretched too long. In command bunkers across Pakistan, senior officers were frantically searching classified databases for any reference to the forbidden designation. What they found, and didn't find, would change everything. Computer screens displayed sanitized records with careful omissions, personnel files with entire years redacted, and commendation lists with names systematically removed. The woman's voice emerged from the static again, no longer humming but speaking with crisp military precision. "Falcon leader, maintain current heading and altitude. Do not attempt intercept maneuvers. I am not your enemy." Her English carried traces of multiple accents, American training overlaid with British pronunciation, and something else, perhaps Russian or Eastern European influences. This was the voice of someone who had served in shadows, crossing between military establishments and intelligence agencies like a ghost moving between worlds. Captain Malik recognized the tone immediately. This was an operator, someone accustomed to classified missions and compartmentalized loyalties. "Identify yourself," Malik demanded, his F-404 engine maintaining pursuit speed as the mystery aircraft continued its southwestern heading toward the open ocean. "You are in violation of sovereign airspace." "Negative, Falcon leader. Check your maps more carefully. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be." The implication struck Malik like ice water. If this pilot was claiming authorized presence in Pakistani airspace, she possessed clearances and mission orders that existed above his security level. That meant government sanction from agencies that officially didn't acknowledge her existence. In the deadly bureaucracy of international intelligence, she was a black project walking. His wingman's nervous voice crackled over tactical frequency. "Lead, I'm getting electromagnetic interference from the target. My radar keeps dropping lock." The Ghost aircraft was conducting active electronic countermeasures, projecting jamming signals sophisticated enough to confuse military-grade targeting systems. This wasn't defensive posturing, it was a demonstration. The pilot was showing them exactly how outclassed their equipment was, revealing capabilities that shouldn't exist outside of superpower arsenals. As dawn approached over the Arabian Sea, the mystery deepened with each passing minute. The first rays of sunlight caught the mystery aircraft's canopy, revealing a silhouette that made Captain Malik's breath catch in his throat. Behind the tinted glass sat a figure he couldn't quite resolve, someone whose presence radiated competence and lethal capability even at 500 meters distance. The pilot wore a flight suit with no visible rank insignia, but her posture suggested years of combat experience. She flew with the relaxed precision of someone who had navigated far more dangerous airspace than this routine intercept. "Control, Falcon leader requesting immediate background check on unknown pilot," Malik transmitted, his voice carefully controlled. "Something about this situation doesn't compute." Squadron leader Nazir had been thinking the same thing. 23 years of air traffic control had taught him to recognize patterns, and this entire scenario felt orchestrated. The timing was too precise, the aircraft too advanced, and the pilot too calm for a random airspace violation. This was either a highly sophisticated intelligence operation or something far more dangerous. The response from command came through encrypted channels, carrying unusual urgency. "Falcon leader, you are cleared to use any means necessary to identify the aircraft. Do not allow it to reach international waters." That phrase, any means necessary, carried deadly implications. It was authorization for weapons engagement, transmitted with the kind of bureaucratic language that absolved command of responsibility for whatever happened next. Malik felt the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders as his thumb hovered over the weapons selector switch. The mystery pilot seemed to sense the shift in tactical posture. Her voice emerged from the radio with knowing amusement. "Falcon leader, I wouldn't recommend that course of action. Check your 6 o'clock position." Malik's blood turned to ice as his radar threat warning system suddenly exploded with contacts. 4 additional aircraft had appeared from nowhere, positioned perfectly to engage the Pakistani interceptors if weapons were deployed. The contacts showed advanced stealth characteristics, appearing and disappearing from sensors like digital phantoms. These weren't commercial aircraft or known military platforms. They were something else entirely. "Control, Falcon leader. We have multiple bogies appearing on scope. Request immediate identification and rules of engagement." The control room at Karachi Air Base erupted in controlled chaos. Additional radar operators were called in as screens filled with electronic contacts that defied conventional tracking. The mystery aircraft had backup, professional backup with capabilities that matched or exceeded Pakistani military technology. This was no longer a simple intercept mission. It was rapidly becoming an international incident. The forbidden Callsign crackled through the radio one more time, spoken with the authority of someone who had earned the right to use it through blood and classified operations. When squadron leaders heard that designation, they knew they were dealing with someone whose service record existed in locked files and sanitized databases. Someone whose missions were discussed in whispers among intelligence professionals, and whose identity was protected by layers of official denial. The woman's next transmission carried finality. "This is your last opportunity to break off pursuit. I am operating under authority you do not possess clearance to understand." Captain Malik's training warred with his instincts as the tactical situation spiraled beyond his comprehension. Above the Arabian Sea, he found himself part of a chess game played at levels far above his security clearance. The electronic warfare suite aboard the mystery aircraft activated with devastating efficiency, painting Captain Malik's JF-17 with targeting radars that shouldn't exist in any known inventory. His radar warning receiver screamed warnings as multiple lock-on signatures appeared simultaneously, each representing a potential missile engagement from impossible angles. The Ghost aircraft wasn't just demonstrating superior electronic capabilities. It was proving that conventional fighter tactics were obsolete against its advanced systems. "Falcon leader, your aircraft is being painted by fire control radar." The woman's voice remained professionally calm. "This is a demonstration, not a threat. Break off your intercept now." Malik's wingman, Captain Sharif, transmitted on tactical frequency with barely controlled panic. "Lead, my countermeasures are ineffective. Whatever they're using is burning through our defensive systems like they don't exist." The implication struck both pilots simultaneously. They were flying against technology that rendered their training and equipment obsolete. Every defensive system they carried had been designed to counter known threats: conventional aircraft, standard missiles, predictable electronic warfare patterns. The mystery aircraft operated beyond those parameters, using capabilities that suggested development programs decades ahead of acknowledged military technology. Squadron leader Nazir watched helplessly as his radar scope transformed into a constellation of impossible contacts. The 4 backup aircraft maintained perfect formation around the Pakistani interceptors, their positions calculated to maximize tactical advantage while minimizing aggressive posturing. This wasn't random. It was choreographed by someone who understood both the capabilities of JF-17 fighters and the psychology of intercept operations. "Control to Falcon leader, what is your tactical assessment?" Nazir's voice carried the weight of decisions that would reach the highest levels of Pakistani military command. Captain Malik studied his instruments, nodding electromagnetic signatures that defied classification. His opponent flew with the confidence of someone who had engaged in aerial combat against far more advanced adversaries than Pakistani Air Force interceptors. Every maneuver demonstrated intimate knowledge of JF-17 capabilities and limitations, suggesting intelligence briefings that exceeded what foreign militaries should possess about Pakistani aircraft. Control, Falcon Leader. Target aircraft displays electronic warfare capabilities beyond our countermeasures. Pilot demonstrates advanced training and operational experience consistent with special operations background. Recommend immediate consultation with higher authority before proceeding. The pause that followed carried the weight of international implications. In conference rooms across multiple continents, secure phones were ringing as intelligence agencies attempted to identify the mysterious aircraft and its pilot. The forbidden Callsign was being cross-referenced against databases that officially didn't exist, searching for connections to operations that had been classified beyond top-secret classification levels. The woman's next transmission carried subtle mockery. "Gentlemen, you're overthinking this situation. I'm not here to engage your Air Force. I'm here because someone needs to remember what really happened in the skies above Syria, Lebanon, and Afghanistan. Someone needs to acknowledge the missions that were written out of history." Her words struck like bullets through the radio static. Every pilot listening recognized the reference: operations where aircraft had been lost, where pilots had disappeared, where official reports contradicted witness accounts and classified intelligence. She was talking about the ghost missions. The mystery aircraft began a slow descent toward the ocean's surface, its flight path following navigational waypoints that existed only in classified mission planning systems. Captain Malik realized with growing unease that this pilot knew Pakistani military procedures better than most Pakistani pilots. Her navigation demonstrated access to information that required security clearances he didn't possess. "Falcon Leader, do not follow target below 15,000 feet, came the urgent transmission from control. "Maintain patrol altitude and observe only." The restriction puzzled Malik until his threat warning system detected surface-to-air missile signatures from ships positioned beyond visual range. The mystery aircraft was descending toward a naval group that didn't appear on any Pakistani maritime tracking system. These were vessels operating with the same ghost-like characteristics as the aircraft itself, present but officially non-existent. As the aircraft descended through 20,000 feet, its electronic warfare systems painted a comprehensive picture of the tactical environment. Every radar installation within 200 kilometers was being cataloged, every communication frequency monitored, every defensive position mapped with precision that suggested long-term surveillance operations. This wasn't reconnaissance, it was verification of existing intelligence. The woman's voice emerged one final time before the aircraft disappeared from radar contact. "Tell your commanders that Valkyrie sends her regards. Some debts can only be paid in acknowledgement." Valkyrie. The callsign hit Captain Malik like a physical blow, carrying implications that reached far beyond routine air intercept missions. In pilot culture, certain callsigns achieved legendary status through actions that were whispered about in officer clubs but never officially acknowledged. Valkyrie was one of those names, associated with missions that existed in the gray space between official military operations and intelligence activities. The radar contact faded as the mystery aircraft reached sea level, its stealth capabilities rendering conventional tracking ineffective. Captain Malik found himself alone in the dawn sky above the Arabian Sea, pursuing ghosts that had vanished as suddenly as they appeared. His fuel state required immediate return to base, but the questions raised by this encounter would haunt Pakistani intelligence services for months to come. In secure facilities across multiple nations, Analysts were already beginning the process of connecting dots that officially didn't exist, searching for patterns in operations that had been classified beyond acknowledgement. The forbidden Callsign had been spoken in Pakistani airspace, awakening databases and triggering alerts in intelligence communities that preferred their secrets to remain buried. As Malik turned his aircraft toward home base, he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning of something much larger. The debriefing at Jacobabad Air Base stretched through the morning hours as intelligence officers attempted to extract every detail from Captain Malik's encounter with the mystery aircraft. The questions revealed the scope of confusion surrounding the incident. No agency claimed knowledge of authorized flight operations in the target area. No friendly forces were conducting exercises that matched the observed capabilities. And most significantly, no official records contained reference to the forbidden Callsign. Colonel Rashid Hussain, base intelligence officer, studied the radar recordings with the intensity of someone searching for answers that might not exist. Captain, describe the pilot's voice characteristics again. Accent patterns, linguistic markers, anything that might indicate nationality or training background. Malik closed his eyes, replaying the radio exchanges in his memory. American pronunciation base, sir, but with British inflections on certain vowels. Possible Eastern European influences on consonant clusters. The pilot spoke with operational authority, someone accustomed to command responsibilities in high-stress environments. And the electronic warfare capabilities. Beyond anything in our threat library, sir. The aircraft demonstrated jamming techniques that burned through our countermeasures like they were obsolete, targeting radars that painted us from impossible angles, suggesting sensor fusion capabilities that exceed known technology parameters. Colonel Hussain made careful notes while studying electromagnetic spectrum analysis from the encounter. The data revealed signal patterns that didn't match any known military platform, with frequency characteristics that suggested development programs operating decades ahead of acknowledged technology. This wasn't captured enemy equipment or reverse-engineered foreign systems. This was original research that implied massive investment in classified aviation programs. The phone on Hussain's desk rang with the urgent tone reserved for secure communications from military headquarters. His conversation was brief, conducted in code phrases that revealed nothing to observers but conveyed volumes to participants in Pakistan's intelligence community. When he finished, his expression carried the weight of decisions being made far above his authority level. Captain, you are to report to Rawalpindi immediately for extended debriefing. Transport is being arranged through special channels. This incident has attracted attention at the highest levels of government. Malik nodded, understanding the implications. Extended debriefing meant days or weeks of questioning by intelligence specialists, polygraph examinations, and detailed reconstruction of every moment from the encounter. The Pakistani military was treating this as a potential breach of national security, with all the bureaucratic machinery that implied. As he prepared to leave Jacobabad Air Base, Malik couldn't escape the feeling that he had been used as a messenger. The mystery pilot, Valkyrie, had appeared in Pakistani airspace not to conduct reconnaissance or demonstrate technological superiority, but to deliver a message. Her words about acknowledgement and unpaid debts suggested unfinished business that reached back to operations conducted years or decades earlier. The forbidden Callsign carried weight because it represented someone whose service had been officially denied, whose missions had been classified beyond acknowledgement, whose identity had been erased from records to protect operations that couldn't withstand public scrutiny. She was a ghost warrior, operating in the spaces between official military forces and intelligence agencies. And she had chosen Pakistani airspace to announce her presence. In the skies above the Arabian Sea, the mystery aircraft continued its journey toward destinations unknown, carrying secrets that connected present operations to historical events that had been carefully buried in classified archives. The encounter with Pakistani interceptors was merely one data point in a larger pattern that intelligence analysts were only beginning to recognize. The ghost missions were returning to haunt their creators. The secure conference room in Rawalpindi buzzed with controlled tension as Pakistan's senior intelligence officers gathered to assess the morning's unprecedented air encounter. Major General Tariq Aziz, Director of Inter-Services Intelligence, studied classified reports that painted a disturbing picture of foreign aircraft operating with impunity in Pakistani airspace. The technological capabilities demonstrated exceeded anything in regional inventories, suggesting involvement by intelligence agencies with resources that dwarfed Pakistan's defensive capabilities. Gentlemen, we are dealing with an operation that exists above our security clearance levels, General Aziz addressed the assembled officers. The callsign mentioned by the pilot has triggered alerts in databases we don't control, operated by allies who aren't acknowledging the significance of this incident. Wing Commander Farid Malik, Pakistan Air Force Intelligence, presented technical analysis that revealed the scope of the mystery aircraft's capabilities. Sir, electromagnetic signatures indicate advanced electronic warfare suites consistent with fifth-generation fighter technology. However, the platform configuration doesn't match any known aircraft in service with allied or adversary forces. The implications were troubling. If friendly forces were operating advanced aircraft in Pakistani airspace without coordination, it suggested intelligence operations that bypassed normal diplomatic channels. If adversary forces possessed such capabilities, Pakistan's air defense network was effectively obsolete against sophisticated intrusion attempts. Colonel Hussein's report from Jacobabad Air Base added disturbing details about the pilot's apparent knowledge of Pakistani military procedures and classified navigation systems. The aircraft followed approach patterns that exist only in our restricted flight operation manuals. This indicates either comprehensive intelligence penetration or direct access to classified military planning documents. General Aziz absorbed the information while considering implications that reached far beyond routine air defense concerns. The mysterious pilot, Valkyrie, had demonstrated capabilities that suggested backing from intelligence agencies with resources that exceeded acknowledged military programs. Her appearance in Pakistani airspace was either a message to Pakistani leadership or preparation for operations that required intimate knowledge of regional air defense systems. What do we know about the callsign itself? Aziz inquired, already suspecting the answer. Sir, that's where the situation becomes most concerning, Colonel Hussein replied. Preliminary searches of Allied databases returned sanitized results. Acknowledgement of the designation's existence combined with denial of access to associated records. This pattern is consistent with deep cover intelligence operations that have been classified beyond standard security levels. The room fell silent as officers absorbed the implications. They were dealing with someone whose identity existed in the classified margins of military history, whose missions had been conducted in shadows deep enough to require official denial of their existence. Such operations typically involved activities that couldn't withstand public or diplomatic scrutiny, conducted by personnel whose service records were protected by multiple layers of compartmentalized security. Valkyrie was a ghost warrior, operating in the spaces between acknowledged military forces and intelligence agencies. Her appearance in Pakistani airspace suggested unfinished business that connected present operations to historical events buried in classified archives. The secure phone at General Aziz's position rang with the distinctive tone reserved for communications from Pakistan's highest levels of government. His conversation was brief, conducted in carefully neutral language that revealed nothing to observers while conveying urgent instructions to the recipient. When he finished, His expression carried the weight of decisions that would impact Pakistan's foreign relations and intelligence partnerships. Gentlemen, we have been instructed to classify this incident at the highest levels and suspend all investigation activities pending coordination with allied intelligence services. The order carried implications that every officer in the room recognized. They had stumbled into an operation that existed above their authority levels, involving players whose activities required protection by Pakistan's most powerful allies. The debriefing of Captain Malik at Inter-Services Intelligence Headquarters in Rawalpindi revealed layers of complexity that transformed a routine air intercept into a window into classified operations spanning decades. The pilot, who identified herself as Valkyrie, had demonstrated knowledge of Pakistani air defense systems that exceeded what foreign intelligence services should possess, suggesting either comprehensive penetration of military security or direct cooperation from sources within Pakistan's defense establishment. Dr. Sarah Qureshi, the ISI's senior psychological operations analyst, studied transcripts of radio communications with professional fascination. The voice patterns revealed someone trained in multiple military environments, with linguistic markers suggesting service in various international contexts. This pilot has operated across multiple theaters and command structures, Dr. Qureshi observed. The communication patterns indicate familiarity with American, British, and possibly Russian operational procedures. Captain Malik sat across from the analyst panel, recounting details from an encounter that had lasted less than 30 minutes but carried implications that reached far beyond routine military operations. The electromagnetic warfare demonstrations alone suggested access to technology that existed decades ahead of acknowledged military research programs. The jamming patterns were sophisticated beyond anything we've encountered, Malik explained, referring to technical diagrams that depicted electronic warfare signatures unlike anything in Pakistani threat libraries. The pilot wasn't defending against our systems. She was demonstrating how obsolete our countermeasures are against her capabilities. Colonel Rahim Siddiqui, ISI's Technical Intelligence Director, cross-referenced electromagnetic signatures with classified databases that contained intelligence gathered from various international sources. The results painted a disturbing picture of technological advancement that exceeded publicly acknowledged military capabilities by margins that suggested breakthrough developments in several classified research areas. The aircraft's electronic warfare suite demonstrates sensor fusion capabilities that shouldn't exist outside of theoretical research programs, Colonel Siddiqui noted. Either we're witnessing technology that represents a generational leap beyond current systems, or we're dealing with equipment that has been developed in parallel programs operating outside normal procurement channels. The implications struck every officer present simultaneously. Military technology development followed predictable patterns, with new capabilities emerging through documented research and testing programs that could be tracked through intelligence analysis. The mystery aircraft demonstrated capabilities that appeared to have emerged from invisible development programs, suggesting either revolutionary technological breakthroughs or access to equipment that had been developed through channels that bypassed normal military acquisition processes. General Azes studied psychological profiles that had been hastily compiled from voice analysis and behavioral assessment of the pilot's communication patterns. The results suggested someone with extensive operational experience in high-stress environments, with psychological characteristics consistent with special operations personnel who had conducted missions in contested environments. This pilot has engaged in aerial combat, General Azes concluded after reviewing the analysis. The communication patterns under stress, the tactical decision-making, the electronic warfare employment, these are behaviors that develop through combat experience, not training scenarios. The realization added another disturbing dimension to the encounter. They weren't dealing with a reconnaissance mission or technological demonstration, but with someone whose operational background included actual combat missions conducted in aircraft with capabilities that exceeded acknowledged military technology. This suggested involvement in classified operations that had required advanced platforms for missions that couldn't be conducted with conventional military equipment. The secure phone system activated again, carrying instructions from levels of government that operated above ISI's normal authority. The conversation was brief but decisive. Pakistan's investigation into the Valkyrie incident was being transferred to allies with resources that exceeded national intelligence capabilities. The transfer of the Valkyrie investigation to Allied intelligence services occurred through channels that operated beyond Pakistan's normal diplomatic framework. Within hours of General Aziz's secure communication with government leadership, technical specialists from undisclosed agencies began arriving at Pakistani facilities with equipment and security clearances that exceeded anything in the national inventory. Their presence transformed Jacobabad Air Base from a routine military installation into a classified intelligence collection center. The specialists worked with professional efficiency that suggested extensive experience in investigating incidents involving advanced aircraft and classified operations. Their equipment included electromagnetic analysis systems, voice pattern recognition software, and database access capabilities that revealed connections to intelligence networks spanning multiple continents. Within the first day of their arrival, patterns began emerging that connected the Valkyrie encounter to historical events that had been carefully buried in classified archives. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, the lead analyst from an undisclosed Allied intelligence agency, studied radar recordings with the intensity of someone searching for answers that carried implications far beyond routine military cooperation. Her security credentials allowed access to databases that contained information Pakistan's ISI couldn't reach, revealing operational histories that had been compartmentalized beyond standard classification levels. The aircraft's flight characteristics match platforms that were reported missing during operations in Syria and Afghanistan between 2018 and 2022. Dr. Morrison explained to Pakistani intelligence officers who were cleared for limited briefing access. However, official records indicate those aircraft were destroyed or captured, with pilot casualties confirmed through standard military channels. The discrepancy suggested either catastrophic failures in Allied intelligence reporting or deliberate misrepresentation of operational outcomes to protect classified programs. Dr. Morrison's analysis revealed electromagnetic signatures that matched platforms which had officially ceased to exist, flown by pilots whose service records had been sanitized to remove reference to specific operational deployments. Colonel Hussain reviewed technical specifications that painted a disturbing picture of technological capabilities that had been deployed in combat operations without acknowledgement in official military reporting. Doctor, are you suggesting these aircraft have been conducting active operations while officially listed as destroyed? I'm suggesting that certain operations require platforms and personnel that can't exist in official military inventories, Dr. Morrison replied carefully. When missions are classified beyond standard security levels, the resources employed must maintain plausible deniability through all available means. The implications transformed Pakistan's understanding of the Valkyrie encounter from routine air intercept to contact with intelligence operations that existed in the classified margins of international military activities. The pilot who had appeared in Pakistani airspace represented capabilities that were deployed in operations too sensitive for official acknowledgement, conducting missions that required resources which officially didn't exist. Pakistani officers absorbed the realization that their airspace had been visited by someone whose service existed in the shadows of classified operations, whose missions were conducted with equipment that maintained operational effectiveness through official non-existence. Valkyrie was more than a ghost warrior. She was proof that certain intelligence operations required personnel and resources that could operate beyond the reach of normal military accountability. The electromagnetic signatures detected during the encounter were being cross-referenced against classified databases that contained intelligence gathered from operations in multiple theaters, revealing patterns that connected present activities to historical missions that had been classified beyond standard top-secret levels. What emerged was evidence of a parallel military structure that operated alongside acknowledged forces, conducting missions that required capabilities and personnel whose existence was protected through layers of compartmentalized security. The analysis revealed that Pakistan had encountered something far more complex than unauthorized aircraft intrusion. Dr. Morrison's investigation revealed connections between the Valkyrie encounter and a series of classified operations that had been conducted across multiple theaters over the past decade. The electromagnetic signatures detected during the Pakistani intercept matched platforms that had been reported in intelligence briefings from Syria, Lebanon, Afghanistan, and locations that remained classified in ongoing operational summaries. The pattern suggested coordinated activities by aircraft and personnel that existed in the classified margins of international military operations. The pilot's communication patterns indicate familiarity with operational environments across multiple theaters, Dr. Morrison explained to Pakistani intelligence officers during a classified briefing session. Voice stress analysis reveals someone who has conducted missions in high-threat environments where communication security was paramount for survival. The implications extended far beyond routine intelligence cooperation. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed the existence of military capabilities that operated through channels designed to maintain plausible deniability for sponsoring governments. The mystery aircraft and its pilot represented resources that could be deployed for missions that required official non-acknowledgement, conducting operations that exceeded the diplomatic and legal constraints that limited conventional military forces. Wing Commander Malik reviewed classified intercept recordings that had been enhanced using signal processing techniques that revealed subtle details about the pilot's communication patterns. The analysis showed linguistic markers consistent with training in multiple military environments, with voice characteristics that suggested operational experience in various international contexts. The pilot demonstrates familiarity with communication procedures from American, British, and other allied military establishments, Wing Commander Malik observed. This indicates either extensive joint training programs or direct operational experience in multiple command structures. Dr. Morrison nodded, consulting classified databases that contained information about personnel who had been trained for operations requiring integration across multiple military and intelligence environments. There are training programs that prepare personnel for missions where they must operate seamlessly within various command structures and communication protocols. These programs typically support operations that require deep integration with allied forces while maintaining compartmentalized security. The description matched operational requirements for intelligence activities that needed to coordinate across multiple agencies and national boundaries, while protecting the identity and ultimate authority of sponsoring organizations. Such operations required personnel who could function effectively within various military cultures and communication systems, while maintaining loyalty to classified mission objectives that superseded normal military command structures. Pakistani officers recognized the implications immediately. They had encountered someone whose training and operational background prepared her for missions that existed above normal military authority levels, conducting activities that required coordination across multiple intelligence agencies, while maintaining security through compartmentalized operations that protected sponsoring governments from diplomatic consequences. The Valkyrie callsign represented more than individual identity. It was designation for someone whose missions operated in the spaces between acknowledged military forces and intelligence agencies, conducting operations that required resources and authorities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. As the investigation continued, patterns emerged that revealed the scope of operations conducted by personnel whose existence was protected through official denial and compartmentalized security. The encounter in Pakistani airspace was merely one data point in a larger intelligence pattern that connected present activities to historical operations that had been classified beyond standard security levels. The ghost missions were more extensive than anyone had realized, involving personnel and resources that operated through parallel structures designed to conduct operations that exceeded the legal and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military forces. The investigation reached a critical breakthrough when Dr. Morrison's team successfully decoded portions of the encrypted communications that had been transmitted during the Valkyrie encounter. The message traffic revealed operational codes and reference numbers that connected the mystery aircraft to classified programs spanning multiple intelligence agencies and time periods extending back over a decade. The scope of the revealed operations transformed Pakistani understanding of the incident from isolated air intrusion to contact with intelligence activities that operated on a global scale. The communication protocols identify operations that were conducted across 5 different theaters. Dr. Morrison briefed Pakistani intelligence officers using visual displays that showed interconnected mission timelines spanning from 2015 to present day. The operational codes reference classified programs that required coordination between multiple intelligence agencies while maintaining compartmentalized security through parallel command structures. Colonel Hussing studied mission summaries that revealed a pattern of operations conducted by aircraft and personnel whose existence was protected through layers of official denial. The classified programs involved activities in Syria, Afghanistan, Lebanon, various African locations, and regions that remained redacted in the briefing materials. The consistency of operational codes suggested coordinated activities by the same resources across multiple theaters and time periods. These operations required platforms that could operate independently of normal military support structures, Colonel Hussing observed. The logistics alone would require extensive prepositioned resources and support networks that exist outside acknowledged military supply chains. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while consulting classified databases that revealed the scope of infrastructure required to support operations of this complexity and duration. The programs identified through this investigation involved establishment of support networks that could provide maintenance, fuel, weaponry, and intelligence support for aircraft operating in contested environments without official acknowledgement from sponsoring governments. The implications suggested intelligence operations that exceeded anything Pakistan had previously understood about Allied capabilities. The mystery aircraft and its pilot represented the visible component of classified programs that involved extensive infrastructure, personnel, and resources that had been developed and maintained through channels that operated parallel to acknowledged military establishments. Pakistani officers absorbed the realization that their routine air intercept had revealed intelligence capabilities that operated on scales that exceeded national military resources. The Valkyrie callsign represented someone whose missions were supported by infrastructure that existed in the classified margins of international intelligence cooperation, conducting operations that required resources and authorities that superseded normal governmental oversight. General Aziz reviewed operational summaries that painted a comprehensive picture of intelligence activities that had been conducted using resources whose existence was protected through compartmentalized security and official denial. The classified programs revealed through the investigation demonstrated coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while maintaining security through parallel structures that operated beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints. These operations represent capabilities that exceed what we understood about Allied intelligence cooperation, General Azes concluded after reviewing the scope of revealed activities. We are dealing with programs that have established parallel military structures capable of conducting sustained operations across multiple theaters while maintaining official non-acknowledgement. The investigation had revealed something far more complex than unauthorized aircraft intrusion. Pakistan had encountered proof that certain intelligence operations required capabilities and resources that existed beyond the reach of normal governmental oversight, operating through structures designed to conduct missions that exceeded the diplomatic and legal constraints that limited conventional military forces. The Ghost missions represented a parallel military structure that had been operating in shadows for over a decade, conducting operations that required official non-existence for their continued effectiveness. The deeper Dr. Morrison's team delved into the classified databases, the more complex the Valkyrie phenomenon became. Cross-referencing operational codes from the Pakistani encounter revealed connections to intelligence activities that span not just multiple theaters, but multiple decades. The electronic signatures detected during the intercept-matched platforms that had been involved in operations dating back to conflicts that predated current regional instabilities, suggesting either remarkable equipment longevity or systematic replacement with identical capabilities to maintain operational continuity. The electromagnetic profiles indicate platform modifications that represent evolution rather than replacement, Dr. Morrison explained during an expanded briefing that included Pakistani military leadership. These aircraft have been upgraded systematically over extended periods, maintaining operational effectiveness while incorporating technological advances that aren't available through normal military procurement channels. Wing Commander Malik studied technical specifications that revealed modification patterns consistent with aircraft that had been maintained and upgraded through classified research programs. The platforms demonstrated capabilities that represented decades of continuous development, suggesting access to resources and facilities that existed outside acknowledged military research and development infrastructure. Doctor, are you indicating these aircraft have been in continuous operation for decades while officially listed as destroyed or non-existent? Wing Commander Malik inquired, grasping implications that transformed his understanding of modern military operations. I'm indicating that certain operations require resources that maintain effectiveness through official non-existence, Dr. Morrison replied diplomatically. When missions span decades and cross multiple political boundaries, the platforms and personnel employed must be capable of operating independently of changing governmental policies and diplomatic relationships. The explanation revealed the scope of intelligence operations that required resources immune to political changes and diplomatic constraints. The mystery aircraft represented platforms that could conduct missions regardless of shifting alliances, changing leadership, or evolving international relationships, maintaining operational continuity through resources that existed beyond normal governmental control. Pakistani intelligence officers recognized the implications with growing unease. They were learning about intelligence capabilities that operated independently of the political and diplomatic constraints that limited their own military activities. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose missions were conducted using resources that could maintain effectiveness through multiple changes in government policy, international relationships, and military leadership. Colonel Hussein reviewed operational timelines that revealed missions conducted during periods when official military cooperation between allied nations was limited or suspended. These operations continued during diplomatic crises that restricted normal intelligence cooperation, he observed. The platforms and personnel involved operated independently of political relationships that constrained conventional military activities. General Azaz absorbed information that transformed his understanding of modern intelligence operations. The classified programs revealed through investigation demonstrated capabilities that exceeded what Pakistan understood about Allied intelligence resources, operating through structures that maintained effectiveness regardless of changing international relationships or governmental policies. We are dealing with intelligence capabilities that exist above normal diplomatic constraints, General Azaz concluded after reviewing the scope of revealed operations. These programs represent resources that can conduct missions independently of the political relationships that limit conventional military cooperation. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while accessing databases that revealed the full scope of infrastructure required to support operations of this independence and longevity. The classified programs involved resources that had been developed and maintained through channels that operated parallel to acknowledged military establishments, creating capabilities that could function regardless of changing governmental policies or international relationships. The Valkyrie encounter had revealed something unprecedented in Pakistani experience with Allied intelligence cooperation. They had contacted someone whose missions were conducted using resources that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, operating through structures designed to maintain effectiveness regardless of political changes or diplomatic constraints that affected conventional military activities. As the investigation continued, patterns emerged that revealed the scope of operations conducted by platforms and personnel whose existence was protected through official denial and compartmentalized security that transcended normal governmental authority. The ghost missions represented intelligence capabilities that operated independently of the political and diplomatic relationships that constrained conventional military forces. The mystery aircraft and its pilot were proof that certain intelligence operations required resources that existed above normal governmental control, conducting missions that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships. The encounter in Pakistani airspace was contact with intelligence capabilities that operated beyond the reach of normal diplomatic and political constraints. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed intelligence operations conducted using resources that maintained independence from governmental oversight through official non-existence and compartmentalized authority. The scope of revealed capabilities exceeded anything in Pakistani experience with international intelligence cooperation, demonstrating programs that operated through parallel structures designed to transcend normal political and diplomatic limitations. The ghost missions represented more than classified operations. They were evidence of intelligence capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental control, conducting activities that required independence from political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military forces. The Valkyrie pilot was someone whose missions operated in spaces above normal authority levels, conducting operations that maintained effectiveness through resources that existed beyond governmental oversight. The investigation had revealed intelligence capabilities that challenged Pakistani understanding of modern military operations, demonstrating programs that operated through structures designed to maintain independence from political changes and diplomatic constraints that affected conventional military activities. Dr. Morrison's analysis revealed a disturbing pattern that connected the Valkyrie encounter to intelligence operations that had influenced major geopolitical events without official acknowledgement. The classified databases contained operational codes that referenced missions conducted during critical periods in Middle Eastern conflicts, suggesting involvement in activities that had shaped regional outcomes while maintaining plausible deniability for sponsoring governments through compartmentalized authority and official non-acknowledgement. The operational timeline indicates involvement in missions that coincided with significant shifts in regional power balances. Dr. Morrison explained during a classified briefing that revealed connections between ghost operations and major geopolitical developments. The platforms and personnel identified through this investigation were active during periods when unexplained tactical advantages emerged in various conflict zones. Pakistani intelligence officers studied mission summaries that painted a picture of intelligence operations that had operated parallel to acknowledged military activities, conducting missions that influenced outcomes without official recognition or governmental oversight. The scope of revealed operations suggested capabilities that had shaped regional conflicts through activities that existed beyond normal diplomatic and military constraints. Wing Commander Malik reviewed electromagnetic signatures that matched platforms reported in intelligence briefings from critical operations across multiple theaters. These aircraft were present during operations that achieved tactical outcomes that exceeded what conventional military forces should have accomplished with available resources, he observed, recognizing patterns that suggested intervention by capabilities that existed beyond acknowledged military inventories. Colonel Hussein cross-referenced operational codes with intelligence reports from conflicts where unexpected tactical advantages had emerged in favor of Allied forces. The correlation revealed missions conducted by aircraft and personnel whose involvement had been classified beyond standard security levels, operating through channels that maintained official non-acknowledgement while achieving tactical objectives that influenced strategic outcomes. The pattern suggests coordinated intervention in multiple conflicts, using resources that operated independently of conventional military command structures. Colonel Hussein concluded, after analyzing mission data, that revealed systematic involvement in operations that had shaped regional outcomes through activities conducted beyond normal governmental oversight. General Az's absorbed implications that transformed Pakistani understanding of recent regional conflicts. The investigation had revealed intelligence operations that had influenced major geopolitical events through missions conducted using platforms and personnel, whose existence was protected through official denial and compartmentalized authority that superseded normal military command structures. These operations represent intervention capabilities that exceed what we understood about Allied involvement in regional conflicts, General Az's observed after reviewing the scope of revealed activities. We are dealing with programs that have influenced strategic outcomes through missions conducted beyond normal diplomatic and military constraints. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while consulting classified databases that revealed the full scope of operations conducted by platforms and personnel whose activities had shaped regional developments without official acknowledgement. The classified programs demonstrated coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while maintaining security through parallel structures that operated beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose missions had influenced major geopolitical events through operations conducted using resources that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. Her appearance in Pakistani airspace was contact with intelligence capabilities that had shaped regional conflicts through activities that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. The investigation had revealed something far more significant than unauthorized aircraft intrusion. Pakistan had encountered proof that certain intelligence operations influenced major geopolitical events through missions conducted using capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental control, operating through structures designed to achieve tactical objectives that shaped strategic outcomes while maintaining official non-existence. The Ghost missions represented intelligence capabilities that had operated parallel to acknowledged military forces, conducting operations that influenced regional conflicts through activities that existed beyond normal diplomatic and military constraints, achieving tactical advantages that shaped strategic outcomes without official recognition or governmental oversight. The breakthrough came when Dr. Morrison's team successfully identified the specific operational designation associated with the Valkyrie callsign. Deep within classified databases that required extraordinary security clearances to access, they discovered personnel records that had been compartmentalized beyond standard classification levels. The pilot who had appeared in Pakistani airspace possessed a service history that revealed involvement in operations spanning multiple decades in theaters, conducting missions that had influenced major geopolitical events while maintaining official non-existence through compartmentalized authority and classified programs. The personnel file indicates involvement in operations that began during the Syrian conflict of 2016. Dr. Morrison briefed Pakistani intelligence officers using visual displays that showed mission timelines spanning nearly a decade. However, the operational history extends back to activities that predate acknowledged military involvement in regional conflicts, suggesting participation in preliminary operations that established intelligence infrastructure for subsequent tactical activities. Wing Commander Malik studied mission summaries that revealed a pattern of operations conducted in advance of official military activities, suggesting intelligence missions that prepared tactical environments for subsequent acknowledged military operations. The Valkyrie pilot had been involved in preliminary activities that established conditions for tactical advantages that emerged during official military operations, conducting missions that influenced outcomes without official recognition or governmental oversight. These preliminary operations established intelligence assets and tactical advantages that influenced subsequent military outcomes. Wing Commander Malik observed, recognizing patterns that suggested systematic preparation of operational environments through activities conducted beyond normal military planning processes. Colonel Hussing reviewed operational codes that revealed coordination between preliminary intelligence missions and subsequent military activities, demonstrating planning processes that operated beyond normal military command structures. The classified programs involved systematic preparation of tactical environments through missions conducted using platforms and personnel whose existence was protected through official denial and compartmentalized authority. The coordination patterns indicate planning processes that integrated classified operations with subsequent acknowledged military activities. Colonel Hussing concluded, after analyzing mission data, that revealed systematic cooperation between ghost operations and conventional military forces, while maintaining compartmentalized security that protected classified mission objectives. General Az's absorbed information that revealed the scope of intelligence operations that had prepared tactical environments for acknowledged military activities through missions conducted beyond normal governmental oversight. The classified programs demonstrated coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while maintaining security through parallel structures that operated independently of normal diplomatic and legal constraints. These operations represent planning capabilities that exceed conventional military strategic development, General Az's observed after reviewing the scope of revealed activities. We are dealing with programs that systematically prepare tactical environments for subsequent military operations through missions conducted beyond normal governmental authority. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while accessing databases that revealed the full scope of infrastructure, required to support coordination between classified preliminary operations and subsequent acknowledged military activities. The programs involved resources that had been developed and maintained through channels that operated parallel to acknowledged military establishments, creating capabilities that could prepare tactical environments independently of normal military planning processes. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose missions had systematically prepared tactical environments for major military operations through activities conducted using resources that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. Her operational history revealed involvement in preliminary operations that had influenced outcomes of acknowledged military activities through missions that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. The investigation had revealed intelligence capabilities that operated in coordination with conventional military forces, while maintaining independence through official non-existence and compartmentalized authority that superseded normal military command structures. The Ghost missions represented systematic preparation of tactical environments through operations conducted beyond normal governmental control, influencing outcomes of acknowledged military activities while maintaining plausible deniability through official denial. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed the scope of intelligence operations that had influenced major military outcomes through preliminary missions conducted using capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, demonstrating coordination between classified operations and acknowledged military activities while maintaining compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from diplomatic and political constraints. As the investigation progressed into its second week, Dr. Morrison's team achieved another breakthrough that fundamentally altered Pakistani understanding of the Valkyrie encounter. Advanced voice analysis techniques revealed that the pilot's communication patterns matched recordings from operations that had been conducted under multiple different callsigns over the years, suggesting either systematic identity changes to protect operational security or involvement in programs that required personnel to operate under various designations, depending on mission requirements and security considerations. The voice print analysis indicates this individual has operated under at least 6 different callsigns across multiple theaters and time periods. Dr. Morrison explained during a classified briefing that revealed the scope of identity protection employed in classified operations. The pattern suggests systematic identity management to maintain operational security while conducting missions that require different authorization levels and compartmentalized access to various intelligence resources. Pakistani intelligence officers absorbed implications that revealed the complexity of identity management required for operations that spanned multiple agencies, governments, and security classifications. The Valkyrie pilot possessed operational flexibility that allowed her to conduct missions under various identities and authority levels, demonstrating training and clearances that exceeded anything in Pakistani experience with international intelligence cooperation. Wing Commander Malik studied operational records that revealed missions conducted under different callsigns that required integration with various military and intelligence command structures. These identity changes allowed integration with operations that required different authorization levels and security compartments, he observed, recognizing the sophisticated security management required for missions that crossed multiple organizational and governmental boundaries. Colonel Hussain reviewed authorization patterns that revealed systematic identity management designed to protect operational security while maintaining access to resources controlled by different agencies and security classifications. The classified programs involved personnel who could operate seamlessly within various command structures and communication protocols, while maintaining loyalty to mission objectives that superseded normal organizational boundaries. The identity management patterns indicate training for operations that required integration across multiple command structures, while maintaining compartmentalized security. Colonel Hussing concluded, after analyzing authorization data, that revealed systematic preparation for missions that operated beyond normal organizational constraints. General Az's absorbed information that revealed intelligence operations that required personnel capable of operating under multiple identities and authorization levels, while maintaining effectiveness across various organizational and governmental boundaries. The classified programs demonstrated training and security management that exceeded conventional military personnel development, creating capabilities that could conduct missions independently of normal organizational constraints. These operations require personnel trained for missions that transcend normal organizational and governmental boundaries. General Az's observed, after reviewing the scope of identity management revealed through the investigation. We are dealing with individuals whose training and authorization exceed conventional military personnel development. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while consulting databases that revealed the full scope of training and authorization management required to support operations that crossed multiple organizational and governmental boundaries while maintaining compartmentalized security. The programs involved systematic development of personnel who could operate effectively within various command structures and security classifications, while maintaining loyalty to mission objectives that superseded normal organizational authority. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose training and authorization allowed her to conduct missions across multiple identity frameworks and command structures, demonstrating capabilities that exceeded conventional military personnel development. Her operational flexibility revealed training programs that prepared personnel for missions that operated beyond normal organizational and governmental constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through systematic identity management and compartmentalized authority. The investigation had revealed intelligence capabilities that required personnel trained for operations that transcended normal organizational boundaries, conducting missions that maintained effectiveness across multiple identity frameworks and authority levels, while protecting operational security through systematic identity management that exceeded conventional military personnel development. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed the scope of training and authorization management required for intelligence operations that operated beyond normal organizational constraints, demonstrating personnel development programs that created capabilities for missions that crossed multiple command structures and governmental boundaries, while maintaining compartmentalized security and operational effectiveness. The most significant breakthrough occurred when Pakistani intelligence officers were granted access to historical operational records that revealed the full scope of the Valkyrie pilot's service history. The classified files painted a picture of someone whose missions had evolved from conventional military operations into intelligence activities that required increasing levels of compartmentalized security and official denial. Her service record revealed a transition from acknowledged military service into operations that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, conducting missions that required official non-existence for their continued effectiveness. The operational history indicates transition from conventional fighter pilot assignments into classified programs that required systematic erasure of official service records. Dr. Morrison explained during a comprehensive briefing that revealed the evolution of personnel from acknowledged military service into ghost operations. The pattern shows progressive involvement in missions that required increasing levels of compartmentalized security and official denial. Pakistani officers studied service records that revealed systematic transition from conventional military assignments into operations that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. The Valkyrie pilot had begun her career as a regular military officer, before being recruited into programs that required official non-existence, conducting missions that maintained effectiveness through compartmentalized authority and classified operational frameworks. Wing Commander Malik reviewed training records that revealed systematic preparation for operations that required independence from normal military command structures. The training progression indicates development for missions that operate beyond conventional military constraints, he observed, recognizing patterns that suggested deliberate preparation for operations that required official non-acknowledgement. Colonel Hussein analyzed operational assignments that revealed progressive involvement in missions that required increasing levels of compartmentalized security and official denial. The classified programs involved systematic development of personnel, whose service records were progressively sanitized to protect operational security, while maintaining access to resources that exceeded normal military authorization. The assignment patterns indicate systematic preparation for operations that require official non-existence. Colonel Hussein concluded, after reviewing service records, that revealed deliberate transition from acknowledged military service into classified programs that operated beyond normal governmental oversight. General Azaz absorbed information that revealed the process by which conventional military personnel were developed into resources capable of conducting operations that existed beyond normal governmental authority. The classified programs demonstrated systematic recruitment and training processes that created capabilities for missions that required official non-acknowledgement, while maintaining effectiveness through compartmentalized security and parallel command structures. These programs represent systematic development of personnel for operations that transcend normal military and governmental constraints. General Azaz observed, after reviewing the scope of personnel development revealed through the investigation. We are dealing with recruitment and training processes that create capabilities for missions that operate beyond conventional authority structures. Dr. Morrison confirmed the assessment while consulting databases that revealed the full scope of recruitment and training programs designed to develop personnel for operations that required official non-existence. The programs involved systematic identification of military personnel, with characteristics suitable for missions that operated beyond normal governmental oversight, conducting progressive training and authorization development that prepared them for operations that maintained effectiveness through compartmentalized authority. The Valkyrie pilot represented the culmination of systematic personnel development programs that created capabilities for missions that operated beyond normal military and governmental constraints. Her service history revealed the process by which conventional military personnel were transformed into resources capable of conducting operations that required official non-acknowledgement, while maintaining effectiveness through compartmentalized security and parallel authority structures. The investigation had revealed intelligence capabilities that operated through systematic recruitment and development of personnel, whose service records were progressively sanitized to protect operational security, while creating capabilities for missions that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. The Ghost operations represented the culmination of training and authorization programs that developed conventional military personnel into resources capable of conducting missions that maintained effectiveness through official non-existence and compartmentalized authority. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed the scope of personnel development programs designed to create capabilities for intelligence operations that operated beyond normal military and governmental constraints. Demonstrating systematic recruitment and training processes that transformed conventional military personnel into resources capable of conducting missions that required official non-acknowledgement, while maintaining operational effectiveness through compartmentalized security. The final phase of the investigation revealed the true scope of the Valkyrie pilot's current mission and its connection to Pakistani airspace. Dr. Morrison's team successfully decoded the complete message traffic from the encounter, revealing operational objectives that extended far beyond demonstration flights or reconnaissance activities. The Valkyrie pilot was conducting verification operations designed to confirm intelligence assets and communication networks that had been established in the region over previous years, testing capabilities that would be required for future operations that remained classified beyond the investigation security levels. The decoded communications indicate systematic verification of intelligence infrastructure that has been established across the region. Dr. Morrison briefed Pakistani leadership using displays that showed network connections spanning multiple countries and operational timeframes. The pilot was confirming operational readiness of assets and communication systems that would be required for future classified missions. Pakistani intelligence officers absorbed implications that revealed their airspace as part of a broader intelligence network that had been systematically developed over years of classified operations. The Valkyrie encounter was verification of infrastructure that existed within Pakistani territory, confirming capabilities that had been established through operations that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. General Aziz studied network diagrams that revealed intelligence assets positioned throughout the region, connected through communication systems that operated independently of normal governmental oversight. These assets represent intelligence capabilities that have been systematically established within our territory, he observed, recognizing implications that transformed Pakistani understanding of their sovereign airspace and territorial security. Wing Commander Malik reviewed operational codes that revealed systematic establishment of intelligence infrastructure, designed to support future operations that remained classified beyond current investigation parameters. The network represented capabilities that had been developed through years of classified missions, creating resources that could conduct operations independently of changing governmental policies and diplomatic relationships. The infrastructure represents capabilities that operate beyond normal governmental oversight. Wing Commander Malik concluded, after analyzing network specifications that revealed systematic development of intelligence assets that existed independently of Pakistani military and governmental authority. Colonel Hussain absorbed information that revealed the scope of intelligence operations that had systematically established capabilities within Pakistani territory, while maintaining official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected operational objectives from governmental oversight. The classified programs demonstrated coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while creating infrastructure that could conduct future operations independently of normal diplomatic and military constraints. Dr. Morrison confirmed that the investigation had revealed intelligence capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of assets and communication networks that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, creating infrastructure for future operations that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints. The Valkyrie pilot's mission represented verification of intelligence capabilities that had been systematically established within Pakistani territory through years of classified operations, confirming readiness of assets and communication systems that would support future missions that remained classified beyond current investigation parameters. Her appearance in Pakistani airspace was confirmation that ghost operations had successfully established infrastructure for activities that operated beyond normal governmental oversight. The investigation had revealed something unprecedented in Pakistani experience with territorial sovereignty and intelligence operations. Their airspace and territory contained intelligence assets that had been systematically established through classified operations that operated beyond normal governmental oversight, creating capabilities for future missions that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded normal diplomatic and military constraints. Pakistani officers found themselves confronting the realization that their sovereign territory contained intelligence infrastructure that had been established through operations that operated beyond their governmental authority, creating capabilities for future missions that remained classified beyond their security clearances, while maintaining effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets and communication networks that existed independently of normal governmental oversight. The conclusion of the Valkyrie investigation left Pakistani intelligence services with more questions than answers, confronting realities about modern intelligence operations that challenged fundamental assumptions about territorial sovereignty and governmental authority. The classified briefings had revealed the existence of intelligence capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended normal diplomatic and legal constraints, creating networks that could conduct operations independently of changing governmental policies and international relationships. Dr. Morrison's final briefing addressed implications that extended far beyond the immediate encounter, revealing patterns of intelligence operations that had systematically established capabilities across multiple regions and time periods. The Valkyrie encounter represents contact with intelligence capabilities that operate globally through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that exist beyond normal governmental oversight. She explained to Pakistani leadership during a comprehensive assessment of investigation findings. General Aziz absorbed the full scope of intelligence operations that had been revealed through the investigation, recognizing implications that transformed Pakistani understanding of modern intelligence activities and their relationship to traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority. The classified programs operated through resources and infrastructure that existed independently of normal diplomatic and legal constraints, creating capabilities that maintained effectiveness regardless of changing political relationships and governmental policies. These operations represent intelligence capabilities that challenge traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty. General Aziz concluded after reviewing the comprehensive scope of revealed activities. We are dealing with programs that operate through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that exist beyond normal governmental authority and diplomatic constraints. The Pakistani military leadership faced difficult decisions about how to respond to the revelation that their territory contained intelligence assets that had been established through operations that operated beyond their governmental oversight. The infrastructure represented capabilities that could conduct future operations independently of Pakistani authority, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from diplomatic and political constraints. Wing Commander Malik recognized that the investigation had revealed the extent to which modern intelligence operations transcended traditional military and governmental boundaries, creating capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that existed independently of normal authority structures. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose missions operated beyond the reach of conventional military and governmental oversight, conducting operations that maintained effectiveness through resources that existed above normal diplomatic and legal constraints. The classified investigation concluded with Pakistani intelligence services confronting realities about modern intelligence operations that challenged their understanding of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority. The ghost missions represented systematic establishment of capabilities that operated beyond normal diplomatic and military constraints, creating infrastructure for operations that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships. The Valkyrie encounter had revealed something far more complex than unauthorized aircraft intrusion. It was contact with intelligence capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, conducting operations that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military activities. Pakistani officers found themselves participants in an investigation that revealed the scope of modern intelligence operations that transcended traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, demonstrating systematic establishment of capabilities that operated beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political and diplomatic limitations. The investigation concluded with Pakistani intelligence services confronting the realization that modern intelligence operations operated through capabilities that existed beyond their understanding and authority, creating infrastructure for missions that maintained effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets that transcended normal governmental oversight and diplomatic constraints. Years after the Valkyrie encounter, Pakistani intelligence services continued to discover evidence of intelligence infrastructure that had been systematically established within their territory through operations that operated beyond normal governmental oversight. The investigation had opened a window into intelligence capabilities that challenged traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty, revealing networks of assets and communication systems that existed independently of Pakistani authority while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. The Ghost missions had evolved into a permanent feature of regional intelligence operations, conducting activities that influenced geopolitical outcomes while maintaining plausible deniability through systematic establishment of capabilities that operated beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints. The Valkyrie pilot represented someone whose service existed in the classified margins of international intelligence cooperation, conducting operations that shaped regional developments through missions that maintained effectiveness independently of changing governmental policies and diplomatic relationships. Pakistani military leadership eventually developed working relationships with allied intelligence agencies that acknowledged the existence of classified operations within their territory, while maintaining official non-acknowledgement of specific mission objectives and operational parameters. The compromise allowed Pakistan to maintain sovereignty over acknowledged military activities, while accepting the reality that certain intelligence operations required capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight and diplomatic constraints. The investigation had revealed that modern intelligence operations operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that transcended traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, creating capabilities for missions that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected operational objectives from political and diplomatic limitations that constrained conventional military activities. Captain Malik eventually returned to regular flight operations, carrying classified knowledge about intelligence capabilities that operated beyond his understanding and authority. His encounter with the Valkyrie pilot had revealed the existence of parallel military structures that conducted operations through resources that existed independently of normal governmental oversight, creating capabilities that maintained effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended traditional military and diplomatic constraints. The classified investigation concluded with Pakistani intelligence services developing new protocols for managing contact with intelligence operations that operated beyond their authority levels, creating procedures for coordination with allied agencies, while maintaining official non-acknowledgement of specific mission objectives and operational parameters that exceeded their security clearances and governmental oversight capabilities. The Valkyrie encounter became a classified case study in modern intelligence operations that transcended traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, demonstrating systematic establishment of capabilities that operated beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political limitations. The Ghost missions continued their operations across multiple theaters and time periods, conducting activities that influenced geopolitical outcomes through systematic establishment of infrastructure that existed beyond normal governmental oversight. The Valkyrie pilot represented the visible component of intelligence capabilities that operated through parallel structures designed to maintain effectiveness independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military forces. Pakistani officers who participated in the investigation carried classified knowledge about intelligence operations that operated beyond their understanding, recognizing that modern intelligence activities transcended traditional military and governmental boundaries through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed independently of normal authority structures, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. The legacy of the Valkyrie encounter extended far beyond Pakistani airspace, representing contact with intelligence capabilities that operated globally through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended normal diplomatic and legal constraints, creating networks for operations that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships and governmental policies. The investigation concluded with recognition that modern intelligence operations required capabilities that existed beyond traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, operating through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military activities. Conducting missions that shaped geopolitical outcomes while maintaining plausible deniability through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. In the years following the Valkyrie investigation, similar encounters began occurring with increasing frequency across multiple regions, suggesting systematic verification activities by intelligence operations that maintained global infrastructure through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. The Ghost missions represented evolution of intelligence capabilities beyond traditional military and governmental constraints, creating parallel structures that could conduct operations independently of changing political relationships, while maintaining effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets that existed beyond normal diplomatic and legal limitations. The encounters revealed patterns of intelligence operations that transcended national boundaries and governmental authority, demonstrating systematic coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while maintaining security through parallel structures that operated independently of normal diplomatic and military constraints. The Valkyrie pilot and others like her represented personnel, whose missions operated in the classified margins of international intelligence cooperation, conducting activities that influenced geopolitical outcomes through operations that maintained effectiveness beyond normal governmental oversight. Intelligence agencies across multiple continents eventually developed protocols for managing contact with operations that existed beyond their authority levels, creating procedures for coordination while maintaining official non-acknowledgement of specific mission objectives and operational parameters that exceeded national security clearances and governmental oversight capabilities. The Ghost missions continued operating through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships. The Valkyrie Callsign became symbolic of intelligence operations that operated beyond traditional military and governmental constraints, representing capabilities that existed through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended normal diplomatic and legal limitations, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political constraints. Years later, Pakistani intelligence services occasionally detected electromagnetic signatures that matched the patterns recorded during the original Valkyrie encounter, suggesting continued operations by intelligence capabilities that maintained global infrastructure through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. The Ghost missions represented permanent evolution of intelligence operations beyond traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority. The investigation had revealed that modern intelligence activities operated through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed independently of normal diplomatic and legal constraints, creating infrastructure for operations that maintained effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political and diplomatic limitations that constrained conventional military forces. Captain Malik's classified knowledge about the encounter influenced his understanding of modern military operations, recognizing that certain intelligence activities operated beyond conventional authority structures through systematic establishment of parallel capabilities that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships and governmental policies, while conducting missions that shaped geopolitical outcomes through official non-acknowledgement. The legacy of the Valkyrie encounter extended across multiple intelligence communities, representing evidence of operations that transcended traditional military and governmental boundaries through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that existed beyond normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships. The Ghost missions continued operating across multiple theaters and time periods, conducting activities that influenced regional developments through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed independently of normal governmental oversight, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected operational objectives from political and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military activities. Pakistani intelligence services eventually integrated their knowledge of ghost operations into strategic planning processes, recognizing that modern intelligence activities operated through capabilities that existed beyond their understanding and authority, while maintaining coordination with allied agencies through procedures that acknowledged the existence of classified operations, without requiring access to specific mission objectives and operational parameters. The Valkyrie investigation concluded with recognition that intelligence operations had evolved beyond traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, creating capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships, while conducting missions that shaped geopolitical outcomes through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. In the classified archives of Pakistani intelligence services, the Valkyrie encounter remains documented as contact with intelligence capabilities that operated beyond conventional understanding, representing systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that protected mission objectives from political limitations. The ghost missions represented evolution of intelligence operations into parallel structures that could conduct activities independently of changing governmental policies and diplomatic relationships, creating capabilities that maintained effectiveness through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that existed beyond normal authority structures, while conducting operations that influenced geopolitical outcomes through official non-acknowledgement. The investigation revealed that modern intelligence activities operated through capabilities that challenged traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, demonstrating systematic coordination between multiple agencies and governments, while maintaining security through parallel structures that existed independently of normal diplomatic and military constraints. Conducting missions that shaped regional developments through operations that maintained effectiveness beyond conventional oversight. Pakistani officers who participated in the investigation carried classified understanding of intelligence operations that transcended traditional military and governmental boundaries, recognizing that certain activities required capabilities that existed beyond normal authority structures, while maintaining operational effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that operated independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints. The Valkyrie encounter became a watershed moment in Pakistani understanding of modern intelligence operations, revealing the existence of capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that transcended normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political and diplomatic limitations that constrained conventional military forces. The legacy of the investigation extended far beyond Pakistani territory, representing evidence of intelligence operations that operated globally through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, creating infrastructure for missions that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships, while conducting activities that influenced geopolitical outcomes through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority. Years after the encounter, the Valkyrie Callsign continued to appear in classified intelligence reports from multiple theaters, suggesting ongoing operations by personnel whose missions operated beyond traditional military and governmental constraints through systematic establishment of parallel capabilities that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints, while conducting activities that shaped regional developments through official non-acknowledgement. The ghost missions represented permanent evolution of intelligence operations beyond conventional authority structures, creating capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that existed independently of normal diplomatic and legal limitations, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political constraints that limited conventional military activities. The investigation concluded with Pakistani intelligence services recognizing that modern intelligence operations transcended traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, operating through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed beyond normal diplomatic and military constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected operational objectives from political and diplomatic limitations. In the classified margins of international intelligence cooperation, the Valkyrie pilot continued conducting missions that operated beyond conventional understanding, representing capabilities that existed through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that transcended normal authority structures, while maintaining operational effectiveness, independently of changing political relationships and governmental policies through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. The encounter in Pakistani airspace became symbolic of intelligence operations that operated globally through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, conducting activities that influenced geopolitical outcomes while maintaining plausible deniability through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that superseded changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military forces. The Ghost missions represented the future of intelligence operations, demonstrating evolution beyond traditional military and governmental boundaries through systematic establishment of parallel structures that could conduct activities independently of changing political relationships, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from diplomatic and political limitations that constrained conventional military activities. Pakistani intelligence services integrated their understanding of ghost operations into strategic planning processes that acknowledged the existence of intelligence capabilities operating beyond their authority, while maintaining coordination with allied agencies through procedures that protected classified mission objectives and operational parameters from political and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military cooperation and governmental oversight capabilities. The Valkyrie investigation revealed that modern intelligence activities had evolved into capabilities that operated through systematic establishment of global infrastructure that transcended traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, creating networks for operations that maintained effectiveness independently of changing political relationships, while conducting missions that shaped geopolitical outcomes through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security. The legacy of the encounter extended across multiple intelligence communities, representing evidence of operations that operated beyond conventional understanding through systematic establishment of capabilities that existed independently of normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized authority that protected mission objectives from political limitations that constrained conventional military forces. In the classified files of intelligence agencies across multiple continents, the Valkyrie Callsign represented someone whose missions operated in the spaces between acknowledged military forces and intelligence agencies, conducting activities that influenced regional developments through operations that maintained effectiveness beyond normal governmental oversight, while creating infrastructure for future missions that remained classified beyond standard security levels and governmental authority structures. The Ghost missions continued operating across multiple theaters and time periods, representing systematic establishment of intelligence capabilities that transcended traditional military and governmental boundaries, while maintaining operational effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected mission objectives from political and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military activities and governmental oversight capabilities. The Valkyrie encounter became a defining moment in understanding modern intelligence operations that operated beyond traditional concepts of territorial sovereignty and governmental authority, demonstrating systematic establishment of capabilities that existed independently of normal diplomatic and legal constraints, while maintaining effectiveness through official non-acknowledgement and compartmentalized security that protected operational objectives from political limitations. Pakistani officers who participated in the investigation carried classified knowledge about intelligence operations that transcended conventional authority structures. recognizing that certain activities required capabilities that existed beyond normal governmental oversight, while maintaining operational effectiveness through systematic establishment of assets and infrastructure that operated independently of changing political relationships and diplomatic constraints that limited conventional military forces. The investigation concluded with recognition that intelligence operations had evolved into parallel structures that could conduct activities beyond traditional military and governmental boundaries.